Let's just call him CF. Let's just call him Catfish. CF.
Okay. CF for short?
Yeah, CF. And then mine I'll call...
What are you going to call her?
I'm going to call her a liar.
DL, dirty liar.
Yeah, dirty liar. I
Dirty
love
liar.
it. DL. Okay, so I got...
DL and CF.
Welcome to X Marks the Spot podcast. The story you're about to listen to is all true. The only thing that has been changed are the people's names and their locations to protect their identity. Everything else has actually happened to myself and my guest in the story we are about to share today. And with that, let's get started.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of X Marks the Spot podcast. I'm your host, Will. My guest today is Arianna. Arianna, thank you for joining us today.
Of course.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. And our drink today is some tequila and pineapple juice. So if you're feeling a little...
Tropical, maybe?
tropical? Yeah. If you're feeling tropical today, this is the drink for you. So today's show, we are actually going to be talking about catfish situations that we've both been in. Arianna is going to be initializing hers as CF, and mine are going to be DL. And for Arianna's, CF is for catfish, if you didn't figure that out, and mine is for dirty liar that Arianna came up with, and I absolutely love it.
It fits.
It really does with what we're going to talk about. So let's jump right into it. Let's get into this story. So you told me briefly about how this ended up happening. You guys met on an online thing, and then
Instagram.
Yeah, on Instagram, not even a dating app.
Exactly, which is why,
Wow.
I thought it was a little more legit, Instagram.
I mean, that's the Instagram life right there. So how did that come to be? How did he go about messaging you? Were you guys mutual friends with somebody, or did he just find you?
You know what? I think that we had mutual followers, but I don't think that I actually knew them. Those are people you follow, but you don't know.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we have mutual followers, but maybe he knows them. I don't even know who they are. They just
Okay.
follow me. So it's kind of like that. We had mutual followers, so I accepted the follow request. And it kind of went from there. I was at work, and he just DM'd me. And it started with an audio message, which I thought was peculiar.
That was
right?
his first message to you.
His first message
Audio
to me was
message.
audio.
Wow.
And it was
okay.
just hey, I think you're really beautiful. And, I want to get to know you. And I like that because no one's ever come off to me in an audio message first. So it caught my eye. I'm like,
All right.
So I had to send one back. Okay, well, what do you want to know? What are we talking about?
Yeah, talk to me. Let's go with this. That's interesting. I never actually thought of anything like that before, where I was like, you know what, I'm going to send her a message, an audio message, and
Right off the bat.
everyone listening right now, if you're contemplating of how to talk to somebody,
Send that audio message.
send that audio message and make sure it's very complimentary, no negative stuff. All right, so continue. So he sent you the audio message. You were intrigued.
Right.
Did you send him one back, or did
I
you just start
did.
messaging him?
I sent him an audio message back,
Okay.
basically on a, cool, you want to get to know me? That's cool. I'm Arianna, because he introduced himself too, So I'm like, what would you like to know? So we started talking from there, and it was more so how old are you? Where are you from? Stuff like that. And then we found out that, we weren't that far away from each other, from where we live.
Okay.
And basically, he just got right to the point, well, listen, I'm trying to take you out. And at first, I'm just like, whoa. Okay, cool. I like the audio message. I like the boldness and where
Yeah.
you're coming from, but I just didn't know if I wanted to be out with him alone yet. So I kind of turned down the date proposal at first. I'm like, yeah, no, this is not going to work. I'm like, I'm not really dating right now. And I wasn't. It's not like I was lying. I wasn't dating at the time, but I also just wasn't open to going on a date with just him.
Yeah.
So I think it took maybe 3 date proposals for me to finally be like, you know what? How about you come out with me and my friends?
Yeah, that's
And
the safer.
that's where it started.
Yeah, because I mean, a guy just messaged you on Instagram, on a social media platform. So it also gets to the point of what could it actually entail? And I mean, he could have started off nice, but then it could also get into this guy is a little crazy.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I was not in the business of that. It was also I don't know. It was weird because it had never happened to me before. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to it was almost like a too good to be true situation.
Okay.
I don't want to agree to go on the date. And then as soon as I get to the date in person, he's like, a psychopath.
Yeah. No, I mean, nobody wants that. That's an actual big no-no for anybody listening. Don't be a psychopath on a date. Whether you contact the person or you're being contacted and you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna really show them all. Don't do that.
Show them all I got.
So how long did you guys talk before the third date proposal, I guess this would be?
I would say about a month. Like I was turning these date proposals down. Like the first date proposal came after about a week and a half ish of, writing back and forth on Instagram. And we didn't even have each other's numbers yet. He asked me on the date in the DMs. Okay. And then he finally got my number maybe like 2 weeks later and asked me on a date there. And I'm just like, I'm still not ready. The conversation was cool and all, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to take it to that in-person level with him. And then, I'm just like, you know what? Fine. After the third one, I'm like, you know what? Come out with my friends and I.
Yeah.
Like we're going out. We already have this set up. Like, come on out with us.
Yeah.
And that's where
they got their tasers and nets. If they
exactly.
If it really
it's not going to be just me. I'm not going to be alone. We're going to be in this public setting with all these people.
Yes. What was that? Is it him?
Oh God.
Everybody who's listening, I'm probably gonna leave that in. Arianna and I just heard, I think one of my neighbors just like yell, and we both just like froze. We're like,
looked at each other.
It's him. The catfish returns.
He better not.
All right,
he better not.
You guys went on your date. He got to meet how many friends? Like 1, 2, 3 friends.
Actually,
okay.
Yeah.
So that's a good number of protection right there, because y'all could take him.
Exactly.
And when he first arrived, did you recognize him?
No.
Ooh.
So let's actually dive into that. Let me backtrack and say when I went on his profile, like I'm doing my normal stalking that I'm doing
that
for a man
does.
that is interested in me, right? And I see little details about him, like he's a boxer. He like trains in the gym all the time. He has all these pictures up of like he's been boxing since a young age kind of thing. And one thing that I thought was weird, but wasn't too weird, is that all his recent pictures were more so like chest up, chin up kind of pictures, But he did have some full body pictures up there. They were just like his boxing photos.
Right.
And some of them were a little dated, but I mean, I found ones from like a few months ago, and they were all fine. Like, I'm looking at it like, he's attractive to me, He's something that I would go for.
He's saying he's saying, and like he looks at how he's supposed to look in a sense.
Right. So I'm like, okay, cool. And like in the face, he's very handsome. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like these, I guess the chin up, chest up pictures are not terrible. But my friend and I, we drove together that night, right? We actually pre-gamed at my house and then we went to a bar / club kind of thing, like maybe a lounge, if you will. And we pulled up because there's like no parking. We were in Elizabeth and parking over there is treacherous.
Yeah. Just in case, that is Elizabeth, New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey. We pull up and we're actually about to do valet parking. So we're like in this line for valet.
Right. And
he's texting me like, hey, my car's in the shop, so I actually Ubered here. So where are you? Like, I'm here. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I'm thinking maybe he can just jump in the car with us real quick while we go get the car valeted, and then we'll all go in together. I'm looking for him. I'm looking out the window. My friend's looking out the window. I've already showed her who he's supposed to be. We're looking out the window together like, okay, well, where is he? And I only see one gentleman on his phone with the phone to his ear when I'm looking out the window. And needless to say, he is, I'm not going to say the complete opposite, but he is very short in person. He's very, a little on the heavier side in person. All his boxing photos were like shirt off, like, boxing gloves, like big macho man, big chest, buff guy.
He was showing that, in a sense, at a time he was fit.
Yes.
It wasn't.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So it wasn't anything along the lines of it was like the chest up, but like in like a tank top. So like,
Right, like he had full body pictures up there, and like
Wow.
some of them were only a few months old. So I'm thinking, you know, like this is what he looks like.
Yeah.
Like, this is him. You know.
What's supposed to be?
Well, yeah, that was him, past tense, I guess, because the guy that I saw, and now listen, I'm not skinny, but he was thicker than me. Like I was so confused. You know when Squidward ate all of the Krabby Patties?
Yes.
That brought me back to that episode of SpongeBob. I was looking out the window and I was like, that's not my guy. Is that my guy? I'm looking at my friend like, is that? Come on.
And I mean, both of you were
Is
looking,
that
and that's the
CF?
thing. You
And
both
she's
were
like-
looking, and neither of you could.
She's looking at me like, Arianna, I think that's him. I'm like, no, you're crazy.
Ooh.
You're crazy.
That's
So
not
I'm like, I'm going to step out the car and I'm going to wave my hand, see if you see me. He's like, okay, cool. I get out the car. I start waving my hand. And sure enough, the one male that I saw on the phone was him.
Dang. So now let's go into, I guess, the date, which obviously seems like I already started off kind of bad. So as you said, you know, you weren't fully judging on the weight because like you said, you're a thicker girl and that's fine. But
Right.
at the same time, if you're going to admit to that,
Admit to it.
Like,
Yeah.
why are you showing me pictures from 10 years ago?
Okay.
And honestly, sort of sidetracked with my dirty liar, my CF, I guess. She was the same thing. Her whole profile on
was all these old pictures.
was so she showed me pictures, or at least the pictures I saw was like her tiny. Like I mean like size, I don't know, like size 3 or 4 or something like that.
Jeez.
Like to the point where I was like, "Oh, perfect. Like that's like the size I like." Like not a size 0 or anything cuz like that's no offense to anybody who is that, but like that's too tiny. Like I feel like I will crush you.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's the same thing. So her and I were like, "Hey, let's hang out one night." We were going to go to this place, but apparently the day we were going to go, like they decided to close that day.
Oh, of course.
And so we both were like, what do you want to do? Because that was like our location because it was like the halfway point.
Mm-hmm.
And there was nothing else around. This was also back when I was in California.
Okay.
So she goes, she's like, it might be weird. She's like, but do you just want to like come over and hang out? And I went, why the fuck not? Like,
YOLO.
yeah,
Right?
I was like, you know what? If something happens, it happens. So I will admit, I did bring condoms to be prepared just in case. I didn't want to assume, but I was like, but you know what?
Listen, you can never be too prepared.
Exactly. I could have a whole bodysuit condom.
As long
and
as
I
you
probably
stay
would've-
ready, you don't
Yeah.
gotta get ready.
So, same thing. I pulled up to her like apartment complex, and she's like, "Oh, I'm outside," and I was like, "Okay, I'm looking for her." There's only one woman outside, and I'm like, "That's not her."
Like this
Because
is
it doesn't.
not.
Yeah, it doesn't look like her. And here's the thing. So this is gonna sound terrible off of my end.
Listen.
She like I was saying, like she, you know, pictures, all her pictures, not a progression of like where she's at now.
Mm-hmm.
It's what she was. This is all I've known. It's this really thick girl, like big. Like, I mean, I understand like after high school, we all got the freshman 15, but like she caught freshman 15 like 4 times. Like, again, I understand that's terrible.
Listen, it's the truth. We are
No.
on this podcast telling the truth.
Yeah,
today.
we are telling the truth about all these relationships, how we are.
tellers.
And here's the
She
thing.
wasn't telling the truth, and that's why she's DL.
Yeah, and here's the thing too. I wouldn't have minded if I knew that's what it was. Because her and I, when we talked, it was great. So
Mm-hmm.
when I saw that's what it was, my instant thought was like, "Oh, she already lied to me."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Man," I was like, "What?" And so, you know, I hugged her, but she could feel like I kind of winced because I went, I don't already like this." I was like, I mean, if I showed, I never was until recently, like I've never been like super fit or anything. But if I had
Mhm.
those pictures and then like at that time I was like, yeah, you know, I drink a lot of beer. Like, and so I have this gut and I look terrible.
Right.
Then I'd be like, yeah, I'm a hypocrite because I catfish. I was like, but I didn't. I always have like recent pictures because I was like, I don't want to be that person.
Right.
Like, this is how I used to look. And now
I'm giving you the real. This is
Yeah.
me. This is what I look like currently. If you'd like to see what I looked like before, I can show you. But
Yeah.
this is it.
I mean, for me, no one wants to see the before because it was very goth phase. But like, other than that, it's it's almost disappointing the before. So I was like, the current is better. So it's just like what you had. It was very sad in a sense because it's like, why would you lie about this? What is the point of even trying to lie about it? Because we're gonna see you.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're gonna change in a week, but like, why not be honest already? Mm-hmm. So let's dive back into yours. So you got into the date, and I know everyone's like, can they not do the TV show thing where we get to the point where it's interesting and they keep jumping back and forth? So we're gonna dive back into yours. So you met him, and you obviously were shocked.
Very shocked. He came up to the car and I'm like, oh, hey, CF. And you know what? His shirt was too small. I'm going to just say it. His shirt was too small. It was too small and it was too tight. And it said like champion across the chest or something. Like everything was just going real bad after a while. I was just like, what is going on? So you know what? I'm like, hey, and then like I gave him a hug. Mm-hmm. He hugged me and his shirt rose a little bit. His belly touched me. It did. His belly touched me. You got a little
belly bump.
So I was like, okay. So I was like, yeah, you know what? Just hop in the back. Like we're gonna valet the car and we'll all go in together. He gets in the car. The car sinks a little bit. We all get in the car, right? We drive away. We valet the car, and he's like, oh, like. I'm introducing him to my friend. Friend, this is CF. CF, this is my friend. She's looking back like, hey, what's up? Yeah, she's confused because I've been bragging about this guy. Like, listen, but I don't really know if I want to go on a date with him,
But you've been talking about him. And
right.
You're like,
I'm like bringing him up. This is my best friend that I'm out with. So I'm bringing him up. Like, listen, like, oh my God, we're going to meet my guy tonight. Like, she's excited for me. I'm excited. He gets in the car. Neither of us are excited.
Yeah, you guys were like, we're like, if we just stare forward and pray that the void takes us right now,
oh my goodness.
it can be over.
I was hoping maybe valet was like, you know what, we don't even have any spots. Oh darn, we gotta go home. Like I don't know what I was expecting, but I was expecting something. We valeted the car and we proceeded to meet the other two friends inside. So we go in and he walked in front of me. That's not something I'm used to. I don't know. I'm used to like men. You know how men are. You walk behind me or you walk on the side of me.
That's weird.
Kind of like that protective vibe kind of thing. He just walked in front of me, and I saw his butt crack. The shirt was already too small. His belly touched me. Then I saw his butt crack. Yikes. And like this is.
This is already becoming a great
it's already
date.
A doozy, and I'm not someone who's going to judge, I'm not shallow. So I'm like, maybe, you look like this, but you could still be the one.
Yeah.
We all go into the lounge. We meet the other two friends. Mm-hmm. And of course, I've shown him to the other two friends as well. So they are completely thrown off. At least my one friend got to meet him in the car and outside first before he stepped inside.
So she could give the look of like, yeah, it's him. Just move on.
That was the look she had to give the other two friends. Like, like no, that. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, that's CF. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, yep, that's him.
Let's continue.
Like,
Let's try to enjoy the night.
So they're being polite, but they're also looking at me like, Arianna, what is going on? So I was like, oh, this is my friend, blah 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 blah, and this is CF, and everyone is genuinely confused. So I'm like, you know what? Booze. All right, so let's go to the bar. Everybody, like, come on, let's go get a drink.
It's time to get drunk and forget this situation.
It is damn sure time to drink. So we all get to the bar, and my friends are all standing off to the side, and they're trying to like give us some alone time, I guess, because however, this is still a date.
Yeah.
I invited you out with my friends. You are still we were romantically interested in each other, but it might just be one party now. But we get to the bar and my friends are like off to the side ordering whatever they want. And he proceeds to wave the bartender down. I'm like, okay, that's nice. Like, gentleman of you. I don't have to overextend myself trying to get a drink.
Exactly.
He waves the bartender down. The bartender comes over. He's like, I'll take a Corona. The bartender's like, okay. And she looks at me and he looks at me. And I'm like, oh, I'll have a margarita. So the bartender's like, okay, together or separate?
Oh, no. Can I guess?
You can guess. You
So
can,
we got a
go ahead and-
50-50. Can I call a friend and see if anybody can help me on this one? Because
Sure.
I'm gonna take
you know
I'm gonna
what?
take a stab that he said. Not did he hesitate and
No hesitation at all.
he just went separate.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Walks in front of you, doesn't look like what he does, or what he was supposed to in a sense, and orders a drink. Doesn't even go, "What would you like?" Immediately says separate.
I don't even
Wow.
think that he was like expecting me to order my drink. I think that he waved the bartender down for himself.
For him, yeah.
Because as soon as the bartender came over, he knew like boom, like what I want, like Corona, and looked at him like,
Yeah.
go get my Corona. And the bartender looked at me, which is the only reason he looked at me, and I was just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
In the sense of like, he's like, "Why are you looking at her?" Because it's weird as you were mentioning that. I was like, prior to this, I always hear, when I'm on dates at least, I'm like, "Oh, what do you want?"
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a nice thing to do,
Right.
regardless of whatever side you're on. Getting a drink bought for you is the best fucking thing.
Okay.
Like, I love that, and I love it when someone's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna get a drink bought for me because I'm pretty today." But the fact that he was like, waving you down, like, "I want this." It's like, did he forget he was on a date?
Do you know I'm here?
Yeah.
If this was a solo date, if we were alone, would I? Oh, okay.
I
It's
know.
a good thing I brought my wallet today, huh? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So he says
Jeez.
separate, and my mouth like kind of dropped, but like not really, because he's already not what I expected.
Yeah, he's
I hadn't
already
seen his butt
disappointing.
crack 5 minutes into this venture, so
Yeah.
I'm just like, I am expecting the worst from this man at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So he says separate. The bartender hands us 2 separate checks. I pay, he pays. We sit down, and now he's looking at me. He's like, like, you're so beautiful. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Wow. And my friends are literally like off to the side. Like they don't even want anything to do with me at this point.
Yep.
Like they're letting me do whatever it is that we're supposed to be doing over here. So I am like downing my drink. I'm like, if I'm gonna deal with this night, I need to be toasted. I chugged my margarita. I was ready for another one. So I'm like, I waved the bartender myself this time. Excuse me. I need another bartender. I need a refill. I need another one. Whatever you want to do, fill this cup up. Like that was it.
She
And-
probably already knew in the back of her mind, like, I'm gonna help this girl out.
Okay, she had to.
She must have.
So he's sitting there, casually sipping his beer. And I order my second margarita, and he actually takes his card out this time.
What?
Ass backwards, no? So you didn't want to pay for my first drink, but you'd like to pay for my second drink?
What?
Yeah. He takes his
Okay.
card out this time. He's like, can you actually put her drink on my card? I'm sorry. And then he looks at me and he apologizes. He said, I'm so sorry. I didn't buy your drink. Sir.
It's after you finished your drink too. That's the other thing that's confusing me right now. Is
I chugged that drink.
You
It maybe
drank
took
it.
me 5 minutes, if that.
oof.
I was
Yeah.
like, I was ready. I was ready to be drunk. He paid for my second drink, and I was really confused.
God, I'm ready to be drunk just off of that. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
It was so weird to me. Like, if you're not gonna pay for any of the drinks, don't pay for any of the drinks. But
Yeah.
you choose to pay for the second one and then apologize to me when you really were not worried in the beginning. Like you were not worried about courting me
No.
at all.
I mean, we've already basically planned it out of like where he's at with this. So he lied about how he looked.
Yes, he
He
did.
wore, I mean, the wearing the shirt too short is not such a thing, but it is a thing. He walked in front of you. Somehow his car is in the shop, so he took an Uber. That's the other thing that confuses me on that one. Like, why mention that?
Oh,
Like,
that is a very crucial detail to this story.
oh, I can't wait till we get back to that part. And then pays for his own drink, says separate. My favorite part about this is in the second drink, he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't pay for your first one." It's like, you had no intentions of paying for the first one
At all.
It was very clear. It could be written in stone right now
You
that you
saw
weren't-
me take my card
Yeah.
out.
and he stared at you like, "Why is she asking you for a drink?" It's like, "I'm not paying for you." He had a plan of where this was going. I think maybe along the lines of, this is a guy brain thinking. You down that first drink and you're like, "I'm ready for my second one." And he's like, "Okay." She's getting drunk. which means she might want to make a mistake.
And
I
never thought about it like that. That's why it's great to see things from a male point of view, because I would have never thought maybe he's trying to get me drunk.
And when he saw that you were downing it, he's like, okay, this girl drinks, which means maybe something fun could happen later. That's why he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't pay for the night. Because then again, like you said, when you two sat down and started talking, he's like, God, you're just so beautiful. He's throwing that compliment again to get that attention. But as we've already learned, he's already at like, the bar is already really low.
Oh my God, it's in the basement. The bar is in the basement. The bar does not exist.
Bar's
like
not
Mean
even
Girls, the limit does not
Yeah.
exist. The bar, it does not exist.
So he pays for your second drink.
He does. He pays for the second drink.
Where does it go from there?
Then we decide, let's hit the dance floor. Not just him and I, but my friends as well, right? We're all in a little group.
Everyone's got to dance.
Yeah, so we go out, we hit the dance floor. We're all dancing together. I'm dancing with him. We're facing each other dancing. And he's like doing this little twirl thing. He keeps twirling me. It was not a twirl song at all. It was not. But he keeps twirling me so that my back is to him. So that my rear end is on him.
So he can get that booty.
And
right
I'm just like, are you kidding? I keep turning around like, oh, you know, we're dancing to the front. And now it's to the point where, and he's already short, like I said, and I'm 5'6". I'm not short. I'm not super tall either. I'm kind of like that average height. And my butt's on his belly.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he was like 5'4", 5'5".
I couldn't even tell you what he was. I really could not tell you.
Apparently,
I just know
a weird man.
Yes, a very weird man. But we're dancing and he's like trying to take it there. Like he is trying to get the booty on him. He's like turning me around, trying to like push my back down, trying to bend me over.
Oh, he's trying to do all that.
And listen, like we're in the middle of a lounge and I have a skirt on, by the way. I wore a skirt. So I was really confused. Like, why is he doing all of this? So, we're all dancing and all that. And I kind of like got away from him and started dancing with my girls instead.
What you gotta do?
So we're standing and there are other people surrounding us dancing. And there's this girl. She's not part of our group, but she's dancing like nearby us. And she's like hyping us up like, hey, you know. And he proceeds to go over and start dancing with her when he's here with me. Doing the same move, the same little twist and turn that he was doing to me, he started doing to her. I was like,
what?
Okay. Okay. So, yeah. And then after that, she introduced herself to us and we all, said, what's up? And we all followed her on Instagram.
Yeah.
And everything was dandy. I want to say we had one more drink before I was like, you know what, this night needs to end. And we had been there for a good maybe 2 hours, so it was like a good time spent there. But my friends were like, oh no, like we're hungry, let's go get something to eat. And he automatically is like, yeah, like let's do that. Like he just wants to be down with the plans when we leave the club. Like, where are we going? What are we doing? Like, I want to be a part of that. And I'm really confused because he Ubered there.
Yeah. So you were like, where are you going?
You need a ride.
Uh-huh.
Is that what you're telling us? So we're like, you know what? Let's leave the club, right? Mm-hmm. There was a chicken shack on the corner of where the lounge was, so we settled for that. It was in walking distance.
Okay.
So we were like, you know what? Let's do that. So we all walk there. We go in. My friends go up and they leave us again by ourselves behind them, and they ordered their food. They went and sat down. He walks up to the counter, orders just his food.
Of course.
I'm standing behind him. Just waiting. He orders this like massive order of food. I don't even know how any drunk person could eat that and not throw up. But he ordered like this like large cheesesteak, a beef patty, a slice of pizza, French fries. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, you would think maybe he didn't eat all day or ever.
Or ever. This is his first meal of the week.
Exactly. So he orders all that and he pays for it. And he takes his tray and he goes and sits down with my friends. And I'm the last one in the line. I'm like, okay, well, give me a slice of pizza. Hell, I'll pay for it.
Yeah.
I put my card out again. I'm like, okay, I guess this is not much of a date, but whatever. So I pay for it. We go sit down and it's all good conversation. He's still a very cool guy as far as conversation goes, even though he's not who he said he was. Mm-hmm. He's pretty funny, cracking little jokes here and there, cool with my friends. Then we all finish our food and it's time to go.
As it should be.
One friend is like, oh, I'm going to go home. I'll see you guys later. She says goodbye to all of us. The other friend is like, oh, you know what? I'm going to sleep at your house tonight. So I was like, okay, cool. And he's sitting there. Everyone's looking around like, is he going to call his Uber? Like, what is he going to do?
Mm-hmm.
My friend that I rode there with, she was giving me and the friend who was sleeping over my house a ride home. So he's sitting there like, oh, I'm so drunk. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, so what are you going to do? Are you going to call your Uber? He's like, do you think maybe I could ride with you guys to your house? And then when I get there, I can just call the Uber? Now, we're going to talk distance here.
Uh-huh.
We're in Elizabeth, New Jersey.
All right.
He lives in East Orange, New Jersey. I live in Perth Amboy, New Jersey.
It's a bit of a distance.
So it would make no sense for you to come all the way to my house just to Uber all the way back to your house. And you didn't drive.
Yeah.
So what does you being drunk have to do with anything?
any
You
of
could
this.
drunkenly get in the back of an Uber the same way you're going to get in the back of my friend's car.
Yep.
No? Okay. I was confused, but I was also a little drunk.
I'm
and,
confused.
I just wanted the night to be over. I'm like, sure, whatever. We get to my house, you can call your Uber. We get in the car, we drive, we go to my house. My friend's looking at me like, all right, like, good night. Text me when you get inside.
Yep.
Text me when you're about to go to sleep. Update me. I'm like, okay. So me and the one friend get out, and then he gets out on the other side. All three of us go in my house. Up to my room. I gave him a bottle of water. Try to, let him sober up or do whatever it was that he was doing. My friend, drunkenly, climbs in my bed, passes out. I climb in the bed. I'm sitting there. I'm, waiting for him to call his Uber. He is just sitting there watching whatever we had on TV. So I mentioned it one more time. I'm like, hey, are you going to call your Uber? He's like, oh, yeah. The prices are really high right now. It's at a surge, so I'm just giving it a few minutes. Okay.
All
right, cool. Now, mind you, I am drunk. We had about 3 drinks, and I chugged that first one real quick. So I end up falling asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's my friend, and I'm in the corner of the bed. She's in the middle of the bed. I drunkenly fall asleep. I wake up the next morning because mornings after I drink, I wake up maybe 6 a.m., 7 a.m., something real early. I woke up the next morning, look over. He is in my bed asleep.
Okay.
He's still in my house. So I'm like, he never left.
Yeah.
I'm really
that's
confused.
really weird.
And at this point, it's we're not even sleeping next to each other. My friend is in the middle of us, so he's sleeping next to my friend. It was just really weird. It was really weird. I woke up. I jumped up from the bed and I started nudging him hey, dude, you never left. What was going on with that? He's like, huh? Oh my God, I must have fell asleep.
Duh.
You think so?
No.
You think you fell asleep?
My favorite part about this whole thing was, the prices are at a surge right now. It's yeah, no shit, dude. You're an hour away from where you originally
Why would
were.
you come all the way out here?
Yeah. So just in case for listeners who don't know the East Coast or even Jersey in that sense, Elizabeth and East Orange are a lot closer to each other than Perth Amboy and East Orange. He basically rode 30 minutes out to basically then turn around and take an hour Uber. So of course the prices are going to be expensive. The mentality and the stupidity of this. I understand what his move was trying to be, but it's still stupid.
You were not accomplishing whatever it was that you thought you were going to accomplish.
No, I mean, clearly he didn't because, hopefully your friend didn't have any weird him turning over and trying to cuddle or anything situation.
Oh, goodness.
I'm sure.
Well,
he would
first
be
of
dead.
all, she wore a dress that night, right?
Yeah.
And by the morning time, the dress had rose. She was basically in underwear. And he was right next to her, laying down.
Yeah.
When I woke up, I jumped up and I'm nudging him hey, you never went home. It's just time to go now.
Yeah, you got to leave.
And, he gets up and he's I'm so sorry. I was supposed to leave. Oh, my God. I must have fell asleep. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. So, you know, we're all sitting there. Now, at this point, my friend is awake. I'm awake. He's awake. I'm sitting there and he's doing something on his phone, and I'm assuming he's calling the Uber, maybe.
Right.
Right? I think I assumed wrong because about an hour went by, still no Uber. And I'm just sitting there like talking to my friend. Occasionally he'll say like something, like join in the conversation for 2 seconds kind of thing. And then I also had work that day.
Yeah.
So I was confused at like, when are you leaving my house? So I casually asked again, like, oh, like what's up with the Uber? He's like, man, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. And I'm like, well, you kind of have to tell me because
Yeah.
you have to go like now.
I need you to leave.
And he's like, the Uber prices, they're just really high still. You're about an hour away from home, baby. It's gonna be high. Like, you made the decision to come out here, so you have to pay that money to get out.
Yeah.
You gotta go.
You have to leave.
And my friend's like, oh yeah, I'm about to my mom's gonna come pick me up. I'm about to leave too. Like she wasn't going anywhere, but she was trying to, you know, get him out quicker too. Like, oh, you know, I'm leaving, you're leaving, we're all leaving. I was like, yeah, and I got work in like few hours, so yeah. Another hour goes by.
Still.
He's still there. And I'm trying so hard not to be rude. You know, I
Yeah.
don't want to be like, you know what, get your shit, get out of my house. Like,
Yeah, you're trying.
I'm trying,
to be
you know,
nice.
because he is still a very nice guy, even though he was a catfish. He's a very nice guy, so I'm trying not to be rude. I'm like, you know, any plans on leaving my house at all? Now, mind you, the way that my bedroom is set up, I have my bedroom, my bathroom inside my bedroom.
Right.
Right. I had to poop. I had to poop, okay? And I tried to make this man leave. It's been 2 hours. I'm not going to keep holding my poop. I got to poop.
Yeah.
So I go in the bathroom. And any of my friends or close friends who know me, the bathroom in my room, the door stays open. It stays open. I don't like to be in there alone. I don't. It's pretty small. I just, you know, I like the door open. I like my freedom. So I left the door open, and I'm like, you know what? This is going to get him to leave. Like, I'm about to take this full-blown shit with the door open. He's got to go, right? You're going to, like, come on. Are you going to, like, you have no choice but to leave now.
I
You-
love this power move. Like,
I thought it was a power move.
nothing.
I thought it was a power move. And I'm going to explain why I thought that.
I think it's a power move.
You know, I don't think that I would want to sit there and witness someone's shit that I just met.
Yeah.
That, you know, like I'm romantically interested in, you know, and then some men have that notion like, you know, women don't fart. They don't poop.
They don't do
you
any
know?
of that. Yeah,
We
yeah.
don't do that stuff. But I do, okay? So I'm with the door open, shitting in the bathroom, and I know it smells. I'm like, he turns around and goes, are you taking a shit right now? And I was like, yeah, I am. Mm-hmm. And he goes, wow, that's so fucking real. I never ever met a woman that would just, wow, you're so real. Like, you're just going to take that shit and I'm sitting right here. I got to tell the group chat about this. He grabs his phone
What?
and starts texting. Apparently, he thinks it's really like righteous of me to take a shit in my own bathroom with the door open while a stranger is in my room.
Oh my.
So what I thought was running
God.
him away
Was turning.
was, I don't know what the hell it was doing, but he was not budging. He was like, wow, you're so like in tune with yourself. Like, you'll really just use the bathroom while I'm here. And I'm like,
What is wrong
yeah.
with this guy?
I really don't know.
I'm baffled.
You should be.
I mean, I feel like everyone who's listening right now, I'm sure is absolutely like jaw is dropped of the insanity of this man. Like, here's the thing. He is doing anything at this point to keep any kind of interest. I'm not sure why, because it's obvious that there's nothing there.
Like, come on.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I've been on some dates and this and that where I've like tried where I'm like, no, I feel like there's something here. Or it's more along the lines like, I hope. But it gets to the point where I know. I'm like, you know what?
And anybody has to know, right?
And here's the thing, like that whole situation, I would have been like, man, I would have dipped already. Like if I fucked up that bad where like I didn't get her drink, I'd be like, I fucked up. I'd be like, well, that's
You
it.
accept that, right?
Yeah, and I would have 100% accepted it by now because I would know right then and there. I'd be like, because here's the other thing too. If I did that move, that means one, either I'm getting catfished, two, I'm already not liking our chemistry, and I'd be like, we're friends.
Right.
I'm like, so you're paying for your own drink. And now here's the thing too. I still, regardless of that though, I actually probably wouldn't. I'd be like, I'm gonna get the first round, you're gonna get the next one. And that's like my move. I'm like, at least I'm still gonna get a drink out of this.
Right.
Without me paying for it, kind of. But like then the food, like if I went out and hung out and had the food and everything, I still would know after that. It's like especially with your friend.
It was the end of the night.
Yeah. He's like, all right, I'm going to go spend the night at your place. All right, I'm going to drive you all. And then it's like, what are you doing? I'd be like, well, I'm going to leave because that is the international of like my friend's spending the night. So you're not coming over.
Exactly.
And
whatever you thought was about to happen, buddy,
was not happening.
put it to the back of your mind.
I mean, he was putting it in a spank bank for a while, I'm guessing.
My goodness.
Because the other thing too is
along with the image of me shitting, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he was just there, just like, yo, you shitting right now? Like, yes,
You shit?
yeah.
Whoa. Like,
And the fact that he's like, you know what, girl, power to you.
Yeah,
it's
like
what the fuck? It's like, dude, get out of my house.
I've tried everything at this point. Like, I've tried the suggestive comments. I've tried the worry. I've tried the, hey, like, where's your Uber? Did your Uber ever get there? You know, because I don't want to be rude to this guy. He wasn't rude to me, technically, per se, right? So I don't want to be nasty because I can get nasty. I can. We all know this.
Yes.
But
I have seen that.
I didn't want to be like that to him. So I'm like, like, hey, like, what's going on? And at this point, it's like my friend really needs to leave now. This is after my shit and everything, She's like, okay, yeah, my she's outside, and she really was this time. So he's sitting there like, oh yeah, I just called my Uber, so it's coming. It's about 30 minutes away. Now, I've been taking Uber for some years now, and I haven't had a driver be 30 minutes away from me ever. But I'm not going to call you a liar. I'm not going to ask to see your phone. I'm okay. You say it's 30 minutes away? Cool.
Fine.
My friend leaves, and it's just us there in the room. And now I really have to get ready for work. Like, I have work in about an hour.
Yep.
You say your Uber's coming in 30 minutes. You need to go so that I can go. And 40 minutes rolls by. Still nothing. Still no Uber. I said, did your Uber get lost? Because I live in a complex, like a development. So I'm like, maybe you should call and see, I live on blah, blah, blah. So maybe you should call and check on them. You wouldn't believe me if I told you.
Oh my God.
I said, well, what happened? My first Uber canceled. The second one, he's about 10 minutes away. He's coming. So I don't think he actually called the Uber to begin with.
Jesus.
I think that he called it the second time when he said it was 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
I think that was when he actually called.
When he was like, you know what?
And by this time, I literally have on my damn uniform.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go. I'm like, it's time for me to go to work.
Yeah, you got to get out.
He finally says, my Uber's outside. So I'm like, okay, let me walk you down. We go downstairs. We get to the door. Open the door for him. And he's staring like into my eyes. And I'm like, I know this man is not about to try and kiss me. I know you're not about to try and kiss me right now. First of all, we're seeing eye to eye. You're like a little shorter than me. What are we doing right now? I know you're not about to do what I think you're about to do. So I kind of just like turn my head and go in for the hug.
Yeah.
That's the safe option, right?
That's always the safe option.
I'm like, all right, I'll see you later. Hug. And he's like caught off guard because I really think he was trying to kiss me.
Yeah. Because he was like, we just spent the whole time together.
Whole night together.
It's like,
I saw you shit.
Yeah. It's like unintentionally the night was spent together. And the morning.
So he hugs me and he finally goes. He finally goes home.
Leaves.
Finally. That was our first encounter and our last because I have never seen him in person again after that.
how you
do.
phrased that, I was like, oh my God, is there a 2? Because if there's a part 2, we got to go into
Oh,
that.
he tried. He tried
I'm sure
so
he did.
hard
Because
for there
he's
to be
like,
a
you know
part
what?
2.
We had a whole time together. You're like, no, we didn't. We didn't have a time. It was you thought we had a time together. And it turned out to be an actual almost nightmare for you because you literally had this guy who just wouldn't leave. He kept trying to just, in a sense, have alone time with you, thinking he was going to get some.
It was never going to happen.
Oh, I mean, honestly, from the bat, I would have known of that shit. I mean, so and here's the thing, it's almost like opposite ends of what happened with me on mine. Because he went through this whole ordeal of like trying to get to your place and staying there.
Yeah.
Being like, yo, you won't believe it. Hoopers are expensive. Like, no shit, dude.
Like you are an hour away from home now.
Of course. You're going to have to bust it if you want it to be cheaper.
You got to go.
Yeah. You got to leave. You just
Whatever
gotta
you
leave,
do.
dude. Yeah. Take an Uber to transit and then get home.
Exactly.
Something. Just get out of here. So with the girl before, when I was mentioning, like when I saw her, she wasn't who she was. I mean, she was who she was. It just wasn't the picture that I was receiving.
Right.
So we ended up hanging out at her place and everything. And again, her and I, our conversations were great. Like, we got along very well. And so I was like, you know what? It's not that big of a deal. I was like, I am still kind of disappointed because it's like,
you started this off in lies.
in a complete lie. And so we, in a sense, we laid together and we started making out. And it wasn't bad. And then she asked me about it. She asked
Excuse me?
She asked me about how I felt about how she looks now. And I went, now you're bringing this up? So that was the craziest thing.
DL,
Yeah.
you dirty liar.
And I was like, so you planned for this?
This is what you do.
Fascinating.
This is your thing. This is your niche.
This was, it was such a weird thing for her to like, that's like a weird card to pull out of like, all right, let's see how this guy feels. It's like, well, and so I told her, I was like, well, I honestly feel lied to. I was like, because how you look wouldn't bother me. It's the fact that you have all these pictures of you on your profile and you look like none of them. And then she was like, that's, like how I used to look in high school. I was like, that's fine. This isn't a big deal.
We're not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, but I'm expecting this. And then I'm to this. I was like, if I saw this first, I was like, it wouldn't have bothered me. I was like, but we already started off at a lie.
Right.
Regardless of whatever situation it is, however anyone wants to look at it, it's a lie. You started off the date with a lie. So we end up hanging out for a bit. I think, if I remember correctly, because we were making out and, I was like, you know what? I was like, we're still having good time. We're still connecting.
Right.
I was like, chemistry's not that bad. All right. I'm also at her place, and then she also initiated the making out. So I was like, all right, so maybe something can happen.
Mm-hmm.
So we start, having a little fun, this and that. And then I mention it. Are we going to go a step further? I was like, do we not? I was like, I just want to make sure, like, me mentally, like, where's my...
But it's also, that's like a big consent thing. So that's a very gentleman thing. Like,
where's my wall?
Right.
I want to know so
I don't want to overstep.
Yeah. And so she tells me, like, no, we can't. I was like, that's fine. Not a big deal.
Right.
So we have fun for the rest of the night. And then I think she wanted me to stay the night. And I was like, no, I'm going to go home.
Stay the night and then do what exactly?
Exactly. I was like, look,
you already said.
I was like, cuddling's fine. I was like, but I'm literally, this is dumb to say, but I am hard up right now. And there's nothing that's going to solve this except a cold shower and literally me jacking off. Like,
so I've got to go home.
So I'm going to go home. I'm like, because I'm not going in your bathroom. That's fucking weird.
Right.
And so, yeah, I remember she expected me to like stay because it was like almost 2:00 in the morning. I was like, no, I'm going to go home. And I either had work or classes at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, no, I got to go home. And on the drive, I just remember thinking, I was like, it shouldn't bother me. I was like, but the lying of the image, like really, and I was like, in a sense, I got catfished. I was like, we still
absolutely did.
Yeah, I was like, we still had an amazing time. Like, I still connected with that same person. I was like, but yeah, I just couldn't. And so it was the same thing. Like, I mean, thankfully there was no like she was like, oh, like I'm drunk.
And then stay and take care of
crashes
me.
at my place, and then like my friend's sleeping between us in their underwear or something. And so she contacted me a couple days later and was like, oh, do you want to go on another date? And I told her no. And I was like,
At least you were honest.
Yeah, I was like, it's hard for me to kind of get over the fact that like you lied. I went, I would hopefully think it would be the same for you if I lied, whether it be my image, my personality, whatever I came off as. Like, I was like, one of us lied and it wasn't me. So she kind of understood. And this was a weird time, and I don't know if anybody remembers this, but it was so long ago, and I thought it was the dumbest thing. And I forget which dating app at that time. Well, it wasn't an app; it was just on a website. It's OkCupid, Plenty of Fish are one of them. Mm-hmm. You could rate the person you went on a date with. Like, if you matched and went on a date, you could actually be like, this person was this way.
Wow.
And it was so fucking weird.
That sounds weird.
Yeah, because it wasn't with her, but I remember after her, like,
can people see these ratings, or is it between you and the person only?
People can see this. So I remember I matched with the girl,
my goodness.
and I was like, oh, I was like, what is this? A comment? And so I click on it, and it was this guy who was like, we had an amazing time. It was just like a shame for me that she didn't want to continue to see me. And I remember, and I will never forget it, I actually asked that girl, I was like, did you see your rating? She went, yeah. And I was like, how was that date? I was like, I'm actually more curious about this situation now. I was like, also
than anything
else.
I
was like, also, can we talk about how fucking weird it is that people can rate?
This is not Uber.
Yeah. I was like, this, and that was the thing. This was before Uber or Lyft. This was years ago, like when they first started.
Yep.
So that girl and I talked about it. But it was funny because Catfish girl, she came up on my thing, like the email. It's like, how
for you to rate her.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It was like one of those where it was like, it's like, how was your date? Do you want to leave a comment about her?
And did you leave a comment?
I think I did. And
I think I would pay big money to see what that comment says today.
I would love if I could go back
it was still
and like,
there. Oh man.
and like screenshot that and just be like, this is forever my poster of me being an asshole. I actually think I did leave a comment, and I said that she is super sweet. I was like, if you are connecting with her, you will. And I actually said, I was like, just keep in mind the pictures that she has are not current. I was like, if you get over that, I was like, you will be perfect. I was like, she is amazing. I was like, I didn't go into like a paragraph, but it was basically like, pictures aren't current. She is super sweet. I was like, you will get along with her. I was like, as long as you can get over the pictures not being current, I was like, you'll be fine.
Right.
And I think she either texted me or messaged me back and said like, thank you. And it's weird that you're thanking me. I was like, but again, I checked your profile. I was like, you still don't have up-to-date pictures.
Right. And you clearly don't plan on it.
What the fuck?
Well, what are you doing?
And here's the thing. I remember this must have gone on for like a month or two before like, everyone realized like, this is a terrible idea. Why are we having people rate each other on a dating website? Like every guy's going to be at like a -10 stars and women are going to always be at a 5.
Right.
So I think there was another guy who commented and basically was just like what the guy above me said.
Yeah, what he said?
Yeah. What
arrows
he said.
up, pointing at you.
And here's the thing. I think she, after that, she like contacted me for some reason and told me about that day. She's like, yeah, it was the same thing. I went, I don't understand why I should care.
Right.
Like, one, we've been done for a while. 2, you could fix this whole situation. All you have to do is just update. Just show pictures. You could even have your old picture and be like, this was me 15 years ago or something.
Right.
And just along the lines of maybe the guy's like, maybe if we both worked out, we could get back to what we used to look like. Those things like some couples do. Mm-hmm. It was never that situation, though. She just never wanted it to change. And I thought
she never wanted anyone to know what she looked like.
No. And here's the thing. I know some people listening right now, if you think like, oh my God, I wish we could rate right now on dating apps, fuck you. Like,
you're crazy.
You are batshit. Do you understand how many people would be at 1 stars or 0 stars right now? Like, that not only would kill everyone's self-esteem, but like it could also mess with the algorithm of like the women that you could meet. And honestly, yours and my story already claim right there, like people are fucking nuts.
Absolutely nuts.
You and I
out of their minds.
Out of their minds. You and I are catches. And then these people just were the wrong ones at that time. But they would instantly go like,
but this is my
she
thing
was a bitch.
too.
Like
my thing about both of us is that even though we are catches and they catfished us and lied dirtily to us, we were still willing.
Yeah.
And open. You know, like the connection, we were still willing to talk to them, still willing to spend that time with them.
To see if anything was going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And these people still, like you said, she never changed her pictures or anything, right? And my guy, he continued to try to see me after this whole thing. And now that I know what he looks like, he's like sending me like real-time pictures, like come drink with me. Picture of cup in his hand. He was really sweaty in this picture. It was like disgusting. Like, what are you doing right now? And he popped up to the development where I live once and said, I'm in your hood. What are you doing? Why are you here?
Yeah. Why are you an hour away from home at my place? That makes no sense to me.
At like 10 o'clock at night, mind you.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Which could also mean that he did the same move to somebody else and was
like I'm confused.
Like, oh, you know what? She actually kicked me out, but I know who's around here. That is crazy. See, and I don't know if anybody out there has had this same situation or if anybody is like, oh my God, I just went through that. Or, oh, I did that to somebody. But I really hope it actually like burrowed right into your heart of like, oh, this is still a thing that happens to people. It constantly will. So from Arianna's perspective, they are. They always will be. If you're going on a date with a guy who messages you on like Snap or Instagram or any of that, bring some friends. Have them on standby.
Maybe even FaceTime him beforehand.
Oh, yeah.
Because I wasn't even thinking of that. I saw the pictures and I saw the dates and I just thought, I've never gotten catfish before. So I just thought, this is cool. Like these dates.
Yeah.
A few months ago, he was looking real handsome. He looked real handsome a week ago.
I don't know what happened in between.
Fuck.
I mean, those angles and that Photoshop is happening. See, what's crazy is back then I would have loved if like FaceTime or Zoom or any of that was like an actual thing. So
that you had that option at least.
Yeah, and what's funny though is like age must. I'm not that old, but webcams and everything were a thing at that time, so it wasn't new. And I never thought like, oh, what if we chatted online first?
Because this has never happened to you, so you're thinking,
Yeah, it never happened.
Okay.
Also, like this wasn't the norm, because this was a time before smartphones, so like you couldn't really just like video chat with anybody on there,
right?
So like if I requested like, hey, can we webcam chat first? They'd be like, this isn't a AOL room. Well, like we're not gonna cybersex. I'm like, I just want to like at least meet you. But see, what's funny is now that's a norm.
That is. And you know what? Even though I have been catfished, it still surprised me that is the norm. Because I've had guys on an actual dating site say, hey, can I FaceTime you? And that's the first message they send me after we match. And I'm like, yeah, but like, what's up? Like, why do you want to call me? And then it doesn't even register in my mind because I know that I'm not a catfish. I know that the pictures I have up, I probably took yesterday in my bathroom. Like
taking a shit with the door open.
Exactly. Like I'm who I am and I'm who I say I am and I'm always going to be that. So I know that it's not that I'm a catfish. So that doesn't cross my mind. Like, oh, he wants to FaceTime. Duh.
He wants to make sure. Yeah.
So I'm like, what do you want to call me for? Like, I'm concerned. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I've been catfished before. And I'm like, me too.
And then you're like, oh yeah, let's both do it.
Yeah, well, let's get on there.
And it's funny too because I'm still single, so I'm still on apps and everything. And every now and then I see messages like, no, I'll not instantly FaceTime you. Like, I need to talk. And I was like, who wants to FaceTime right now? And I was like, oh, catfish.
Right. And you have to like be quick on your toes. Like, oh, that's why. That's why she wants to do that. Like, duh.
Well, it's that, but like like most of the girls that I'm seeing, like they won't do it instantly. And it's also because, again, it's like the guys, like I'm sure before it started off innocent and then some guys were like, so what you wearing right now? And it's like, all right. And boop. Like, because then it can turn instantly to dick pics or now I guess in this case, dick time. Like,
listen,
It turns into a chat roulette that nobody wants to
a
go
million
through.
stories for days. We've
Which-
got to have another podcast.
Oh,
We have to.
let's please do another episode of dick pics and how I have never sent one and I never
I
will.
am so proud of you.
Yeah, it's
I'm
pretty.
so proud of you.
It's pretty crazy to talk about. I mean, I'll touch base on it right now. I have done one, and it was because a girl requested for it.
Exactly. Okay.
I'm not gonna lie.
Unsolicited.
it
let's,
took
let's,
me- yeah,
let's
un-
specify.
unsolicited.
Unsolicited dick pics is
Yeah.
what we're talking about here. Because if someone solicits it,
Yeah.
then okay.
That's one
if,
thing.
if you're comfortable.
I will say though, it took me like an hour because I was freaking out because I was like, "Oh my god! Like, what if she's just like, look what this guy did?" And it's like, but you said you. Like,
Yep.
I'm freaking out. So yeah. So just in case, everybody, yes, I am still one of hopefully dozens of guys who has never actually like sent just like
An
a dick pic.
unsolicited dick pic.
Yeah, because I don't know if people know this, but it doesn't matter what gender you are. Genitalia is disgusting. Like up close, like no one wants to see it. Like, just ugh.
Keep it to yourself.
Yeah,
Keep it in your pants.
yeah. Keep it in your pants unless someone asks for it, and then even then, like, be like, you sure? Like, can we just turn off the lights? You come over, and then like we'll do our thing, and then you don't actually have to have like a picture, like
Right.
evidence
If you'd
of
like
it.
to see it, just come see it. Come see it in
Exactly,
real time.
if you want to. But this was fun. I hope everyone who was like, oh man, I just got catfish, this actually helps me out, just realize your story is funny. Everyone's catfish story can be funny.
Oh man.
Like-
And this is not going to be your first or last time.
No.
Unless maybe, you're married or something.
Yeah.
But if you're single and you're on the dating apps like Will
Yeah.
and I, you will be getting catfished.
Yeah, a bunch of times.
You will be getting catfished.
Yeah.
And you will be getting FaceTime requests because people will think you're
getting
catfish.
So everyone who's listening, just make sure everyone's cautious these days. It doesn't matter if it's just the FaceTime of the catfish, but it's also, are you that same person? Are you that personality that they think they are? Times are changing, everybody. So try not to be a catfish out there. But
Listen, I know I'm not. I know you're not.
none of us are. Well, none of us in this place right now are not. Hopefully everyone listening has not been a catfish or has been like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wear the mask of a catfish and I'm going to just fuck
Or a
someone's
dirty
day.
liar. Don't
Yeah,
forget
or-
your girl's name.
Yeah, dirty liars.
She was a dirty liar.
Well, Arianna, on this show, even though it wasn't really an ex, I still love calling them exes because they still are a fun story to tell.
Yeah,
So
he's never coming up again, so you can
He
call
never
him an
will.
ex.
so we are going to raise our glasses. We are going to cheers to my ex.
Cheers, Max.
Thank you so much, Arianna, for joining on X Marks the Spot podcast. And everyone listening, thank you so much for taking the time to listen as well. Again, don't get catfished out there.
Thank you so much for having me, and I can't wait for my next episode.
Oof, I can't. I'm sure everyone's like, oh, what's the next one? All right, everyone, have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you on the next show.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to X Marks the Spot podcast. Episodes are released every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific Time. Be sure to follow us on all social media platforms. Just simply look for X Marks the Spot podcast. If you have a story you'd like to share and be on the show, please feel free to reach out at xmarksthespotpodcast@gmail.com or DM us on any of our social media. Thank you again for listening.